খুরশিদ আলম এসছে, খুরশিদ আলম অসুস্থ বলছে। Good afternoon. We'll start our second session forthwith. This is the first thematic session on panel discussion on the role of MIDI and Big B towards creating a sustainable blue economy in Bangladesh. May I invite the session chair, Dr. Zaidi Sattar, Chairman of the Policy Research Institute of Bangladesh, to come on stage, please. There are three paper presenters. May I request them also to come. Dr. Atsushi Watanabe, Senior Research Fellow, and Dr. Imadul Islam, Senior Research Fellow of the OPRI Sasakawa Peace Foundation in Japan. Second paper, the Fisheries Resources Bay of Bengal, Dr. Anwar Hussain, please come on board. And the third paper presenter, Seafaring for Blue Economy, Sees the Future for Bangladesh, Dr. Sajid Hussain, Commandant Bangladesh Marine Academy and IMO, please come on board. Discussants are, one discussant unfortunately could not come, he's fallen ill, but we have three very eminent discussants. Mr. Abul Kalam Azad, former Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, who's been heading the SDG growth and now, please come on stage, sir. Sheikh Yusuf Harun, Executive Chairman, Bangladesh Economic Processing Zone Authority, and Rear Admiral Shahjahan. Please come and take your seats there. I'll hand over now to Dr. Zaidi Sattar to take over the proceedings. So Dr. Zaidi Sattar, over to you, the gavel.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador Tariq Karim, for all the nice words. Okay. Okay. I have so many luminaries here, and I feel a bit humbled to be chairing this session, the subject matter of which is also very wide, somewhat away from my area of specialization. I spend most of my time thinking about economic policies. But of course, the world is so integrated, and particularly our region here, the Bay of Bengal region, is getting a lot of attention these days. And of course, Asia is getting a lot of attention these days, so we're not just limited here. This is going to be a panel discussion on the role of MIDI and Big B, the Bay of Bengal region, towards creating a sustainable blue economy in Bangladesh. And there's no doubt about that. We need to have a sustainable blue economy in and around Bangladesh. So this is about that challenge that we face. So I'm not going to be taking time. I would rather move on to our paper presenters today. The first presentation will be titled Role of Big B in Sustainable Blue Economy, Bangladesh, Challenges versus Possibilities. And the presenter is Dr. Atsushi Watanabe, Senior Research Fellow. And with him is Dr. Imdadul Islam, Research Fellow at OPRI SPF, Japan. The first paper, please.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah. So, yeah, this is my actually first visit to Bangladesh, and very happy to be part of this session. And dear Foreign Minister Abdul Momen and Ambassador Tariq Karim, and distinguished members of the Independent University of Bangladesh, and all the participants. It is really my honor to be here today to participate and share with you some of our insights or thoughts on the sustainable economy in the Bangladesh. So I would like to start my presentation. I hope we can provide some useful material for the panel discussion that will follow. Okay, so this morning we heard about the free and open Indo-Pacific, or FOIP, is an important concept for both Japan and Bangladesh. And for Japan, which relies on maritime transport for most of its goods, FOIP, I mean the free and open environment from the Indian Ocean. Oops, sorry, can I use the eraser? Yeah, from the Indian Ocean to the South China Sea, East China Sea to Japan is quite critical. So, and the Bay of Bengal occupies a very important position in this context. Yeah, and its coastline is home to 1.7 billion people, about 20% of the world population. And also it has a GDP of about US trillion, dollars, which is about 3% of the global GDP. And also it is important to mention that it is also rapidly growing economy. And these figures are rising steadily over time. So within the Bay of Bengal, Bangladesh is also geopolitically important because of its location at the epicenter of Asia, as Ambassador Karim mentioned, and and in the apex of the Bay of Bengal. So this is the Bay of Bengal figure, and Japan and Bangladesh have had a friendly relationship over the past 50 years, and we are now celebrating the 50th anniversary of our diplomatic relations this year. And this relationship is expected to be strengthened further. So as Bangladesh enters this period of economic growth, infrastructure development and industrial transformation will become very important. And we believe that the beneficial and sustainable contribution from Japan will be quite important. And the Bay of Bengal in the Industrial Growth Belt, Big B, initiative, a bilateral cooperation between Bangladesh and Japan, is to increase the connectivity of Bangladesh's coast areas inland and also at the sea lanes. And it is expected to be just like such an important cooperation. Yeah, and Japan, we as a maritime nation experienced a very enhancement of connectivity through coastal zone development in the past. In the post-World War II era, recovery period, development was based on the bipolarity of Tokyo and Osaka area, but with a shift from light industry to heavy industry. And the main industry gradually shifted from then heavy industry to high-tech and the service industries as the economy grew. So the area depicted by this figure is known as the Pacific Industrial Belt, which supported Japan's development through active logistics by sea to and from foreign countries. Yeah, and JICA has been working on the Moheshukari-Matabari Integrated Infrastructure Development Initiative, which is called MIDI, M-I-D-I, MIDI, and the MIDI project is expected to connect the Dhaka, Chittagong, and the Cox's Bazar belt with the inland area of the northeast, India, Nepal, Bhutan, and China, and the other countries. So, but here the question is, how can we translate this opportunity into the development of the blue economy? So before we consider that, I want to look at how Japan and some other countries are thinking about the blue economy in their diplomatic strategies. So this is a statement by the then Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Sato. He mentioned that the blue economy, Japan sees the blue economy as an opportunity for economic growth as well as maritime security. So in his statement in 2019, in the sideline of the Tokyo International Conference on African Development. So this is, and he mentioned that it is an idea that is in harmony with the vision of the FOIP. Oops. Okay. And then China. China sees blue economy as an opportunity to use oceans to increase the its geopolitical power. Yeah, and one study mentioned here notes that the emphasis is on economic growth and geopolitics than on social equity and environmental sustainability. And Australia, they also position the blue economy and maritime security as mutually beneficial, mutually inclusive and dependent. And there are indications in the Indian Ocean Rim Associations, or IORA, that it sees the blue economy as a place for sustainable economics, policy, and security. So these are some relation between countries' diplomatic strategies and the blue economy. Yeah, and I will come back to blue economy later, but what about the economic benefit from the Big B project? So yeah, as Japan experienced a significant economic growth 50 years ago, averaging like at 9.7% economic growth per year during its period of rapid economic growth starting from 1960 to onward, and when the Pacific Island Industrial Belt was formed.
Recording stopped.
And yeah, and Bangladesh is also aiming to shift from light to heavy industries in the future. And it is estimated that the development of the Big B, Matabari Port, will lead to 2% GDP growth, according to some studies. And given that Chittagong's location as an international gateway, and the connectivity is really expected to extend inland area. Okay, so this is actually the comparison of GDP development between two countries. So Bangladesh is on the left panel, and I just overlapped the Japanese economic growth during the 1970s. So we are seeing following the similar trend on the economic growth. And the Bangladesh's economy is in the middle of Japan's period of rapid economic growth now. So you have now about 3,000 GDP, US dollar per capita. So what has happened, I want to share with you what was happening in the Japan's ocean during that industrial development. So this is, oops, sorry. Yeah, so this is an example of Tokyo Bay. So green area is a reclamation area reclaimed during between 1966 and 1975, which was most extensively reclaimed period during, and the shallow sea area was almost lost during this period. And yeah, the area of the sea decreased from 1,300 square kilometers to 1,000 square kilometers during this period. Yeah, and I share
This is a
video.
petrochemical complex.
Yeah.
Our next mystery takes place in the sea directly in front of this industrial area, which supports the Japanese economy. Even here, the sea creatures manage to get by.
Yeah, so a lot of petrochemical complexes are built in the Japanese coast area. Oops. Sorry. So this is the area of the reclamation land over time from 1955 to 2000. Yeah, and this bar chart shows the fish catch, fish shell or seaweed catch time series over time. So you can clearly see that as the area of reclaimed land increased, the production of fish, shellfish, and seaweed decreased. And this is thought to be due to the decrease in the productivity of the sea, and also the decrease in the number of fisher folks. It's a kind of combination of these two. Oops. Huh? Sorry, it's frozen. Okay, so I will share one more video about
Around the 1970s, Tokyo Bay was known as a dead sea. The contamination of the water was caused by factory and household waste.
Oh, that's some serious sludge.
The huge amount of organic matter, nitrogen, and phosphorus in the sewage caused the water pollution.
Yeah, so
Later, thanks to the construction
yeah, so actually during this period, rivers are quite polluted and a lot of bubbles were found. And yeah, it was dirty and foamy in the Tokyo Bay, and rivers discharging to Tokyo Bay. And we also lost a lot of shallow coastal areas, which also the tidal floods lost also lead to their cleaning function, because it's very efficient removal of nitrogen and phosphorus. And without the tidal flood, most of the nitrogen and phosphorus are discharged directly into the Tokyo Bay area, so which caused a lot of red tide problem in the area of Tokyo Bay. So eutrophication caused by such kind of loss of shallow area caused recurring red tide and the mass fish kills. So this is something we experienced in the past, and since then Japan has tried to implement the wastewater management to stop this kind of deterioration of the water quality. And the amount, you can see that this COD is like an indicator of organic matter concentration. And you can see over time, the quality, amount of organic matter and nutrients discharging, flowing into the Tokyo Bay has been gradually reduced. Oops. Yeah, and under the banner of Tokyo Bay Restoration Council, various government agencies and many citizen science groups are participating now in the restoration of clean and Tokyo Bay coastline and the creation of opportunities for people to come into contact with the sea. But the restoration of the bay is taking a lot of time, and now it's getting better, but yeah, once it's been damaged, it takes a lot of time to recover. So it is hoped that this kind of Japanese experience should be shared with Bangladesh when we plan the Bangladesh's economic growth from now. Yeah, and I mainly talked about the land area, but we are discussing about the blue economy. So we also want to touch up on the blueness of the economy. So yeah, this is yeah. So what are the opportunities and challenges? We may have like a marine and coastal ecotourism, aquaculture and fisheries, and the ocean renewable energies in the other opportunities of the blue economy field. And also to realize that coastal ecosystem conservation and restoration is also important, such as the blue carbon ecosystem conservation and restoration. these are the promising areas. And for example, I learned that the Sonadia Island in the southern part of Motabari Port, which is a conservation area and has a lot of variable habitat with mangroves and wild birds. So when developing a Matabari Port, this area, I think it is very important to take care not to disturb the supply of sediment or the water flow to this mangrove forest. Because this mangrove forest is not only the carbon sink, but it can also contribute to the benefit the coastal people and protect the land area and also conserve the biodiversity. Yeah. So on the other hand, better accessibility to this area due to the development of this area will increase the potential for the development as an ecotourism destination if we can carry out a good carrying capacity kind of evaluation. Yeah, and while investigating the availability of these marine resources, like here, it is also necessary to design an enabling condition of social equity, such as avoiding corruption, the economic equity, gender equality, group equity, and human rights, and also environmental sustainability, like biodiversity, habitat preservation, and water quality, and also the economic viability, like this is the infrastructure development, investment, ecosystem, and national stability. So this is according to a 2019 report by the World Bank. There are 5 blue economy sectors, namely gas and oil reserves, shipbuilding, or also ship recycling should be included, and coastal and maritime tourism sector, and aquaculture of seaweed, mussels, oysters, pearls, and sea urchins, and coastal and offshore wind power generation. But it also carries future risks, like overexploitation of fishery resources, especially in the shallower water, like shallower than 40 meters depth, and the coastal development, pollution, and inequitable benefits and the uneven infrastructure being identified. So this is something I want to recommend we want to recommend for future studies and action. So it's important to establish a coordinated policy planning process across the key sectors: port development, shipbuilding, tourism, fisheries, mariculture or aquaculture or wind power, which is indispensable for the proper marine spatial planning. And also aggregation, we should aggregate the ocean-based economy data to enable the measurement and monitoring of the blue economy development. And finally, but not the least, incorporation of the economic value of natural capital, such as blue carbon, into this kind of planning. So we need a proposal to include and operationalize the blue economy in the concept under FOIP and the sustainable development strategies in an environmentally friendly and socially equitable manner. So yeah, so I thank you for your kind attention, and I look forward to the vibrant discussion. Thank you very much.
It's going to be Dr. Imadul is not going to join you. You're join the discussion. You have, okay, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Watanabe. I mean, this was such a comprehensive and also a very deep diagnostics of this entire region. Very vibrant region, and the promise is much greater than what we have seen so far. The Indo-Pacific region, the Bay of Bengal region, and all the littoral states. I mean, this is going to be the future. You know, the future is supposed to be Asian, and as the analysts tell us, by 2030, we will have, Bangladesh will be among the top 10 consumer economies of the world. And I guess 5 of the top 10 will be in the Indo-Pacific region: India, Bangladesh, Japan, China, Indonesia. 5 of the top 10 consumer markets. And of course, consumer market means there's a lot of pollution and industrial waste. And I'm just, you just reminded us that Tokyo itself was generating a lot of industrial waste, but that's a past. Well, thank you very much for your very comprehensive presentation. May I now invite our second paper presenter, Fisheries Resources of the Bay of Bengal, Concerns and Prospects, Dr. Anwar Hussain, Associate Professor, Department of Fisheries, University of Dhaka.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, distinguished guest, my dear student, and also my teacher, Professor Dr. Niyamun Nasir sir, in front of me. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my today's talk, and very good afternoon. The title of today's talk is Fisheries Resources of the Bay of Bengal, Concerns and Prospects. And the outline of my presentation included background, fisheries resources, concerns, prospects, and finally, some recommendations. So we all know about the blue economy. Now, blue economy is the promising and also a valuable word in the world. And actually, blue economy is the utilization of ocean resources for increasing food security, providing nutrition and also health, and alleviating poverty, creating jobs, generating alternative energy, lifting seaborne trade and industrial profiles. Actually, who is protecting the ecosystem health and the biodiversity of ocean. The ocean covers almost 72% of the surface of the earth and constitute almost 95% of the biosphere. And ocean supports all of the lives in the planet, directly or indirectly. And this is very important for global food security and also for human health. And you all know, blue economy creates nearly 4.5 million jobs in the world and added about $500 billion in a year in the world. So in case of China, the blue economy, that means only in ocean, contributes almost 1,000 billion US dollar and almost 10% of their GDP. And in case of USA, 1.8% of their GDP comes from ocean. And if we see Japan, 1.48% of GDPs come from ocean. And in case of Indonesia, almost 20% of their GDP come from ocean. So how about Bangladesh? So we maybe try to find our answer in later. So now blue economy and some linkages to SDGs. So United Nations has adopted many targets like 17 sustainable development goals, and they're associated 169 targets to achieve by 2030. So each goal is very important, where our concern is life below ocean, water, which includes 10 targets predominantly designed for the well-being of the ocean and living resources. So here is the life below water, directly or indirectly related to the 10 SDGs targets. And now blue economy and the Bay of Bengal. So major blue economy sectors of Bangladesh, like the 6 major sectors, where fisheries and aquaculture sector is my concern. And I'm going to talk about more, some details about the fisheries and aquaculture. And most of the maritime activities are in the very early stages in case of Bangladesh. And industries such as shipbuilding, deep sea resort operation, port operation, and also renewable energy are expected to grow within few years. This is our targets. And the Bay of Bengal, almost 118,000 square kilometer in our territorial and also exclusive economic zone in the northern Bay of Bengal. And this is very wide and shallow region and extending more than 100 nautical miles, which is 3 to 4 times wider than global average, and providing us a very greater and shallow water for fishing areas. And in Bay of Bengal, we have lots of biodiversities, included fishes, shrimps, crabs, lobster, mollusks, seaweeds, coral, echinoderms, and whale and dolphins. So we have more than 475% species of fishes, and shrimps also 25, and seaweed 56, and mollusks more than 300. In recent study reported by DOF Survey Working Group in 2018, more than 407 species, including fishes, shrimp, mollusks, crustaceans, and blub, in Bay of Bengal. So we have 4 major fishing grounds in the Bay of Bengal, namely South Patches, South of South Patches, Middle Ground, and Swatch of No Ground. And there is 3 surveys in 1973, 1981, and 93. And the approximate stock in the Bay of Bengal, demersal fishes, is like in 264 to 373,000 tons in demersal and pelagic areas, and also shrimp is 4 to 9,000 tons in 73 to 83. But we don't know the actual stock of these fishes and also shrimp and recent stock. So this is very important for us to harvest the fishes and also shrimp, crabs, and other fisheries organisms from the Bay of Bengal. And this is some commercial important fishes from Bay of Bengal. And left part is industrial trawling and also the artisanal fishing. Now I'm going to talk about the fisheries resources of the Bay of Bengal. And marine fisheries covers in Bangladesh total production of almost 15%, and where the Bangladesh production of fisheries is 4.62 million tons in 2020, where only 0.68 million tons comes from ocean. But we have huge volume of water in ocean, but production is very, very little. And hillshire fisheries is one of the most important fisheries in Bangladesh, and you all know the hillshire is the flagship species in our country, and ocean contributes only 0.3 million tons, where the total production is 0.5 million tons, including the freshwater hillshire fisheries, and contributes 12% of the total fishery stock, and around contributes 1% of GDP, and employs 3 million fishers directly or indirectly in our country. So how about our exports? So we export almost 4,000 crore BDT, and earn 4,000 crore BDT, and export 76,000 tons of fishes and crabs, crustaceans from Bangladesh. And fisheries sector contributes 3.75% to GDP and 26% to agricultural GDP. And in our scientists predicted that 10% of GDP is possible to increase only using the proper use of Bay of Bengal from fisheries resources. This is our most promising sector in Bangladesh. And in another positive sense, the fisheries, fish production consumption per capita of Bangladeshi people, 23 kilogram. This is very good news for us. And also fisheries sector supplies more than 60% of protein in every people in Bangladesh. Now, concern about the Bay of Bengal. So my concern is over and under exploitation of fishery stock and lack of regional and international cooperations, pollutions, lack of skilled manpower, and lack of proper investment. So I'm going to talk few words about some points. So my first concern is over exploitation of stock. And in case of Indian salmon, you see in here in picture, photograph, here is almost zero, like the highly overexploited the Indian salmon in Bay of Bengal. So this red zone is highly overexploited. In case of Harpodon areas, that's and also Bombay ducks, we call the Harpodon areas is Loita. This is also the BRICS zone. But only 3 species in green zone and also yellow zone. This is maybe green zone is under exploited. So we need to first assess the stock, which stock is possible to harvest from Bay of Bengal. This is very important. If we harvest the most important species like the Indian salmon, Harpodon naharias in every time, this fish may be going to overexploit day by day. And after some years, this fish may be extinct from our Bay of Bengal. So this is very alarming for us. And also, the Min Shandani work in 2017-18, and they only study about the stock assessment of risky and underexploited stock, but they don't study about the MSY and MEY. That means maximum sustainable yield and maximum economic yield of the stock. So we need to first assess the maximum economic yield and also maximum sustainable yield of our stock. And then we may be possible to harvest from Bay of Bengal. This is my most important concern in case of Bay of Bengal. And then pollution. So already my Professor Atashi said about the pollution of Japan. And when I was PhD student in Japan, I'm very much concerned about Bangladeshi pollution. And that time my Professor Hiroyuki Matsuda, advised me to watch some videos of like the 70s of Japan. And then I feel hopeful about my Bangladesh. So I think still possible to manage the pollution in Bangladesh. So this is not a big deal in Bangladesh. My concern is plastic pollution in the Bay of Bengal. So in everywhere, if you harvest water, sediment, and also fish from Bay of Bengal, you may find the plastic pollution. So this is my first concern. So I just want to share my few research results with you. And 8 billion of microbes every month we dump in the wetland and also the water bodies. Where Dhaka city, you know the Dhaka city is the mega city, contributes 6.6 billion microbes in a month. If you think about year and decades, how about this? And also Chattogram is 1.2 billion microbes in every month. And Sylhet is a little lesser. And this is the photographs I took from some rivers side, dumping of garbage in rivers, cloth washing, and also dumping of plastics in rivers. And more than 3 million tons of plastics are produced every year in the world. Synthetic materials such as acrylic, nylon, polyester make up of 60% of the global textile production. Half of that plastic becomes trash only within a year. This is very alarming. We don't use the reusable plastics. So only 9% of these plastics we are able to recycle it. And more than 91% enter to the water body and also land and air, and mostly in the ocean. This is very alarming. And in case of our bay, you know, the Bay of Bengal is very shallow water. So if every year we dump these kinds of microplastic in the Bay of Bengal, we don't imagine now. So what will be the scenario in next decades? So this is my some research results I would like to share with you. In case of 2 seasons, you see that in dry season, the microplastic pollution is concentration is high in number than that of rainy season. And here is some microplastics like the polypropylene and also polyester is the high concentration in coastal water. And also we find some microplastic in marine fishes in every organ like tissues and also gill, kidney, and here. So this may be hampered the fish risks for ecological and also the human health. And microplastic, if we inhale, it may create respiratory and cardiovascular problems as well as cancer. And another concerning issue is shipbreaking. So I just want to share some little information about shipbreaking. So shipbreaking is a big problem in coastal areas. Now contributes heavy metal, trace metals, chemical waste, and oil pollution. So we need to think about this very within short time. How can we relocate this shipbreaking industry and we make this shipbreaking industry a sustainable industry? And now prospects. So I'm very hopeful about Bay of Bengal and also my country in case of pollution and also other limitation. But the prospects is domestication of mariculture species, seaweed culture, stock assessment, management of bycatch fishes, and also sustainable investment. This is very important. So now I would like to share some mariculture prospects. Like we have so many commercially important species, like 150 species, but only 15 species we maybe try to domesticate. And only 5 species now we are going to start aquaculture, like mariculture. But success, only 1 species, like the Peneus monodon, shrimp. We just cultured this shrimp in the southern coastal part, like the Satkhira, Bagerhat, Khulna, and Coxbazar, in extensive way and also in semi-intensive way. But still, we are behind from intensive aquaculture. If we possible to convert this extensive and semi-intensive aquaculture to intensive aquaculture, production is 3 to 5 times is possible to increase from our shrimp aquaculture. So we need to establish hatchery and also establish culture techniques and modern and sustainable technology introduced in the aquaculture, like the mariculture. And another prospect is seaweed culture. In Bangladesh is around only, now recently started the seaweed culture in coastal areas. Only 4 species is trying to introduce in our country, and around only 400 tons of seaweed currently produced in southeast part of Bangladesh. But if you see in the global production of seaweed, in Asia only produce 34 million tons and valued 11.8 billion tons. And Japan is the one of the promising country and contributed a lot in seaweed culture. And contribute 97% of the global production comes from Asia. But we are still behind from this opportunity. And so we need to try, and we need to introduce modern technology in seaweed culture. And Japan, already I collaborated with the University of Tokushima Bunri University. Some of the professors visited the Cox's Bazar region to see the opportunities of seaweed culture, and there they cultured the seaweed in Shido Bay. So I am very much hopeful they will maybe come forward to introduce their culture system and also technology in our country. And I talked to you that I'm very much hopeful about our young graduates. This is our prospects. So we have manpower. This is some countries like Japan, maybe their population declining, and they are very concerned, and they introduce lots of robots in different sectors. But we have manpower, and young manpower, like the university graduates. So we need to nourish them properly. And also we have vision and mission. So if you want to achieve something, you need a clear, specific vision. So I would like to thank my Honorable Prime Minister. She has clear vision and mission to achieve our goals in 2030. And we need to, maybe we are possible to reach in middle income country to developed country in the next decade. So therefore, we need huge investment, regional and international cooperation like Japanese friends. So I made some recommendation based on my concern and prospects. So stock assessment of commercial species with the emphasis of maximum economic yield and maximum sustainable yield. So we need to assess the stock based on this, and then we may be possible to harvest our fishes from the Bay of Bengal. And stop the harvesting of over-exploited fish stock. We need to conserve the over-exploited fish for future. And practical-oriented, experimental, and research-based education is very important for our country. We have theoretical knowledge. Our graduates have very good in theoretical knowledge, but we have very limited in practical-oriented and also research-based experiments. So I request all of you, please try to develop like this experiment-based research or education system in our country. And pollution control, particularly microplastics, and also sustainable investment. This is very important to achieve the maximum benefit from our investment. Thank you very much all, and thank you to hear me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anwar Hussain, for a very elaborate presentation, going well beyond just talking about fisheries resources. And you came up with excellent recommendations, I think. MEY and MSY, It was a learning experience for me. Maximum economic yield and maximum sustainable yield. And these are very important issues. And you talked about, this overexploitation of fishery stock. I remember this, there is a new agreement in the WTO on fishery subsidies. And the objective is to limit this overexploitation of fisheries resources with the use of subsidies because of subsidies. So I think it should be very useful for Bangladesh when others. Bangladesh is not currently overexploiting in that sense through subsidies, but other countries are doing it. So Bangladesh would be placed to do a better job now. Thank you so much for all your recommendations.
Thank you very much.
May I now invite Dr. Sajid Hussain, Chief Engineer, C-Mark, I'm having difficulty doing that, Commandant, Bangladesh Marine Academy, and IMO, UN Maritime Ambassador, Dr. Sajid Hussain. And the title of his presentation is Seafaring for blue economy, sea is the future of Bangladesh. Dr. Sajid Hussain.
দিলে আসবে ওকে ঠিক আছে First of all, thanks indeed for inviting me to this place by in occasion of receiving very eminent and special guests from Japan at this independent university. August gathering, I would like to take your approximately 20 to 25 minutes, and during my presentation I will be showing 3 small video clips, 1 to 2 minutes each. At the end, a 5 minutes one. Well, straight to the business. As today we are discussing about blue economy, the simplest form of definition is intelligent use of ocean. That covers all. Diversified in many ways, whatever the ways, if anything comes up good for the humanity out of the ocean, it comes within the current very popular phrase, blue economy movement. My field is seafaring, and therefore I would like to highlight that how seafaring is containing, enriching, contributing in the blue economy. First, we saw the title you have seen already. Let's go for a 50 seconds
To us,
video.
the sea is the future. Maritime routes connect the world, bringing us all closer together. Tomorrow's sustainable society will require a major improvement in the flow of goods and people. An important part of the solution will be to make better use of all available bodies of water, rivers, lakes, and canals included. With new technology, these marine waterways will once again become the best and most cost-effective alternative. Giant innovative leaps have been made in maritime technology. Now, a new collaboration is ready to launch the next generation of shipping: maritime autonomous surface ships.
Oh, it's all right, okay. ঠিক আছে. His Excellency, President of the Sasaka Office Foundation and his team yesterday visited our beloved Bangladesh Marine Academy, and today their team is here in this another promising university. Perhaps you have seen yesterday also we discussed about our father of the nation, who also founder of the Maritime Bangladesh and also founder of Bangladesh Marine Academy. And now, if we need vitamin C, C is the future. And these are our cadets. And here I am with the core area sustainable blue economy, how seafaring for blue economy sees the future for Bangladesh. Let's focus on this particular area. Our Honorable Prime Minister, in one of our graduation ceremony, particularly on 25th February 2021, said, in Bangla, Jahaj cholachol na thakle ochol hoye jabe bishsho. If there is no shipping, world will come to a halt. Therefore, how essential is seafaring? It says that, you can see here, that 1.89 million seafarers are running 74,000 or 75,000 ocean-going ships, carrying yearly nearly 12 billion tons of cargo. What are those cargoes? Commodities, fuel, foodstuff, goods, household goods, products, and everything. And therefore, the 8 billion humans on earth are living on seafaring. And there lies Bangladesh Merchant Marine. What Bangladesh Merchant Marine is doing. If you think for a second that leaving your friends and families, welcoming a lonely life out at sea, days after days, months after months, without any normal recreation, and you are living there. I'm cutting short because of time. So therefore, it needs academic, professional, and mental strength. 24 hours you are on duty. Is not easily imaginable. And out of this, what we are doing, we are equipping our cadets or mariners with discipline and as well as the academic qualification, bachelor's, master's, or professional certificates, we call certificate of competency. And how they are living, they are earning these qualification, skills, and competence, easy mobility assured. Normally, one mariner serves in average 20 years at sea, and then he becomes very, very well fit in various places ashore. A little bit of the glimpse of what the cadets or the officers they do, the educated seafarer, because they are driving force for developing an economy. And seafarers and their counterparts ashore, we have our counterparts today, many are there, marine scientists, offshore engineers, fishery technologists, biotechnologists, and many more. In fact, we are in one family as we are ocean-centric. Global fleet would be increased from current 75,000 to 95,000 by 2030. Therefore, future is very, very bright. Additional 600,000 officers will be required, stated by International Maritime Organization. In this 21st century, with the rise of various newer science and technology-based professions, pathway options, this point is very important. Recruitment and retention of seafarers is a challenge ahead for world. Here we give a pause. This is an opportunity for Bangladesh. Because of the socio-economic, yesterday I was explaining to the Excellency President of SPF, that socio-economic condition of Bangladesh, our youngsters are very fond of going to sea despite welcoming loneliness, totally distracted from the family, but at the age of 40, I will show you, life starts at 40, we say. In true sense, seafarers prove life starts at 40. At a very young stage, he has or she has everything. Now, you can see a she is there driving an ocean-going ship. She is our cadet. She passed out from our academy in 2014. Well, Educated and skilled seafarers drive the ocean-going ships that we know. Education and workplace both are exceptional in the profession, in this profession. Study and service and earning all run in parallel. Therefore, it's a very comfortable learning student life. He is a student, he is an officer, he is a responsible one. At the same time, he is an earner for, not for him or herself, for the family. All the workplace is a moving entity, another problem. No, it's not a problem. You enjoy. After childbirth, child enjoys the movement, and so you enjoy this one. Moving entity, and at far distant sea, living there for 24 hours is spontaneous. So you do not go to office, do not come back from office. An ocean-going ship having navigational equipment, propulsion machinery, services like electricity, drinking water, generation, firefighting, emergency, health, food, living, sanitation, all facilities are there. Therefore, an ocean-going ship is nothing but an independent floating city. Excuse me. Here, I will draw your kind attention that what's the value of a mariner? What we are doing in Bangladesh Marine Academy. We, in fact, we are creating dream for the future, and very logical one. Cadet to captain or chief engineer, we have two disciplines. So cadet, deck cadet and captain, cadet engineer to chief engineer. So cadet to captain of ocean-going ship, this is the professional path. Currently in Bangladesh, we recruit every year 500 or possibly nearly 600 from public and private academies. It takes around 10 years to reach the top. Qualification comes, certificate of competency, as I said, bachelor degree. In addition, someone who is enthusiastic may have master degree too, and is a PhD too. And expected average service, 25 years, maximum, but normally it can be taken 20 years. The cost of education is 20 lakh taka, expected earning 15 crore taka in foreign currency. Please mark the input and output. 20 lakhs taka input, 15 crore taka output in this service. Total yearly earning 3,500 crore taka US, 400 million US dollar by all Bangladeshi seafarers. At the moment, we are 17,000. Where in the world you may find such an amazing business? And the seafarers are individually highest foreign currency earners in Bangladesh. So, it's not without challenge, it's dangerous, it's hard, professional pressure, risks are there, no variation of surrounding. I personally still I cannot catch anything quickly. Somebody says Tuesday, I don't find anything. There is no difference between Tuesday, Friday, Wednesday. What is that? Every day is same. Because of the ship's practice, it's only dates. That's important. What day, doesn't make any difference because ships run continuously. And when you stay there for years together, you get accustomed with that. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 365 days a year, ships are running, you are running. And seafarers always remain burdened with a possibility of natural calamities. On the other hand, joyful seafaring is really charming because it's a charming life, it's a smart life. Nowadays, the IMO's regulations are there. Therefore, IMO has ensured safe, secure, and environment-friendly seafaring. Every day the seafarers are in a newer time zone. That's quite interesting. Every day you are advancing or retarding your clock personally. And not only that, you are touching the different time zone areas also. Earning while learning. That's another interesting thing. Leadership positions. The cadet age is average 20. After joining on from the very first day, he becomes in charge of at least 2 persons, and then in course of time he gets promotion. He becomes in charge of watch, in charge of team, in charge of work. So leadership position from the very beginning. And as I said, that in average 10 years time, you reach the top. Either you become a captain or chief engineer. Now, International Chamber of Shipping and BIMCO, Baltic and International Maritime Consultative Organization, they do research work every year, and every 5 years one special one. So this one special one in 2021 says 1.89 million seafarers are currently running 74,000 ocean-going ships. Ocean-going ships, by definition, ships engaged in international voyages. In this, here it is very small. Anyway, here I would request, although table is very big, but I would like to draw your attention on the bottommost one, the gray one, blue colored, balance. The officers under the 2021 shortage 26,000. And ratings means so-called crews, those who are not officers, their surplus 37%. Therefore, for Bangladesh, the policy should be taken to increase the number of the officers, decrease the number of ratings. Time has changed. How many years the Bangladesh head of the government is taken by women? How many years in future? Therefore, it's time for women. We have to welcome them duly. It says that in 45 or 46% increase of number of women seafarers since 2015. Therefore, they are increasing. In Bangladesh, since 2012, our female cadets are getting trained. So far, 85 cadets have been trained, and they have reached the mid position in ocean-going ships. And if the trend goes like this, then by 2026 or 27, we will see Bangladeshi women captain of ocean-going ships. Although still, you can calculate 1.89 million seafarers, 1.28% only women in the global workforce. Out of 1.28%, mostly about 80% belong to saloon department. They are not actually the officers or commissioned seafarers. Seafarers producing countries are many. I will cut short. India, China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Myanmar, all these countries are seafarers producing countries. Even in Western world, East Europe, West Europe, these are traditional seafarer producing countries. South America also, but all these areas are having some kind of limitations. One thing I mentioned, that various other science and technology based professions are there. On the other hand, these particular countries, Africa and other Middle East and all these countries, they are having the limitations in terms of number of ships or expansion due to, particularly during last 2 years, due to COVID effect. No change in terms of our seafarers training, like our very well promising Chief of Chittagong Port Authority sitting here. Chittagong Port Authority made a record that during this long COVID period, it didn't stop for a single second. Therefore, really, in our country, like the economy of Bangladesh is still sustaining and our seafarers too. I am also a maritime ambassador. We are 43 maritime ambassadors of international maritime organizations. We are working together. Our one task is to make the seafaring attractive to the new generation. So I made a seminar there in Chittagong, inviting 22 universities and colleges, students, teachers, and showed that there are 35 types of professions based at sea, right after our Bay of Bengal, when we got back 119,000 square kilometer area. Many of the students became very interested. One I know, he really came up, I'll show you, that underwater photography. After graduating from the university, engaged in underwater photography. Those photographs are very, very valuable. They have a high demand in the world market. How the sea is the future will be there. Floating airport on the left side, Cox's Bazar airport is to be extended to the sea. It is semi-submersible and not floating. On the right side, Kansai airport in Japan. That is a very, floating one. So very soon we will also have our floating airport in our Bay of Bengal. On the left side, Bay of Bengal now, tomorrow Bay of Bengal will be like this. We'll be having floating windmills. On the left side, our traditional islands there are, I think, many, many small islands in the Bay of Bengal. On the right side, there will be some underwater fun. On the left side, a simple island in Bay of Bengal. On the right side, there will be underwater recreation. This is the underwater photography. These photographs are very, very valuable and possess high demand. Now, I will show you a small clip. Made a phone call to her when she is one of the ex-cadets. And now I have written, Amader Deshe Kobe Shei Me Hobe. Normally we are habituated that anything comes up in future, any big thing, any achievement, all belong to men. Women are out of the syllabus, something like this. So it was written, when there will be such a boy in our country, but now we have to rewrite this. When there will be such a girl in our country, আমাদের দেশে কবে সেই মেয়ে হবে, সেই মেয়ে হয়েছে।
The person you are trying The person you are trying to call is currently busy. Busy in a world that needs no buffering.
So her business, we are proud of her business. She has to remain busy and let her remain busy. So in conclusion, the prospect and opportunities are limitless for Bangladesh. How we can contribute, at least we can have an idea that In the World Maritime Manpower Map, 16,000 seafarers, Bangladeshi seafarers among 1.89 millions in the world. It's like a tiny dot, like our country. But it's increasing, and we have to increase just because we have to earn maximum possible foreign currency for our country. In every corner of the globe, Bangladeshi seafarers are seen to be working in some apex positions in Singapore, Australia, UK, Canada, USA, Middle East, almost everywhere. In this 21st century, we need to have spontaneous combination of professional skills and academic excellence. In fact, what we are doing in Bangladesh Marine Academy, we are creating such smart, smart generations for the future of maritime Bangladesh. Sorry. May Allah bless us all on every endeavors to enrich our country. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu. This was the picture when our Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated the last 5 ocean-going ships acquired by Bangladesh Shipping Corporation. Now let me go to the video. This is a very small 2 minutes video from Merchant Navy Training Board, UK.
Forget 9 to 5. It's 95% of all trade that's moved by sea.
And I'm a part of it. Me. Fish fingers for tea.
2 Bs and a C.
From double signs to container giants.
Skate park mission to bridge watch session.
Driving mum insane. Lifting a new car with a crane.
You can work your way up, they said. And I've never felt closer to the bridge. And it's true. The journey. Inspiring.
All cylinders firing, night shift tiring, but 3 months on and 3 months off.
Good travel, they said. Photo of me in the med.
Gaming all day long, waste of time, wrong. Transferable skills that I never imagined. Teasing seagulls with chips, only watching the ships. Now world-leading tech at my fingertips.
From kid doing school play to knowing that someday I'll captain this ship. It sounds like a script, but it's real.
50,000 tons of steel.
And I feel
grateful.
For the place that persuaded us that a job much more than
bright-coloured containers could be
for me. A career at sea, the best decision I made.
I'm helping the world now, and I connect it by trade.
Start every day with a brew. Not a bad few, but always remembering where I grew up on the deck.
New day,
new adventure.
Never the same, so many hats.
Laugh with the lads.
A FaceTime with Dad.
Decent paycheck.
High tech.
To Quebec.
Clean deck.
To see or not to see.
It's a no-brainer.
For me.
So the last video, it's on our Bangladesh Marine Academy. I would like to request, please lend 5 minutes again. And before that, let me conclude here. And I hope that in the presence of the very special and desired guests from Japan in this independent university today, we all enjoyed the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Commandant Dr. Sajid Hussain, for an excellent presentation. You gave us something very different. You gave us a peep into the life of seafarers, a very exciting profession. You inform us that life on the sea is pleasurable. It's not just drudgery. Day after day you live on the sea, but there's so much excitement there, moving from country to country, place to place. Thank you so much, and I have to tell you that I come from Chittagong, grew up in Chittagong, and interestingly, I was a schoolboy when the Chittagong Marine Academy was set up, and some of my school friends joined the Marine Academy, which started, I think, with about a dozen students at that time. today I can see that it's producing seafarers. And I wonder, you never use the word sing. So, thank you again. Thank you again, Commandant, for a peep into this very disciplined profession. Thank you very much. So here, I guess there's so much that can be said about this new thing that we have learned, you know, seafarers. And Bangladesh is producing plenty of them. A very rewarding profession and very disciplined profession. Thank you very much for providing leadership to that institution. And incidentally, I hail from a village close to the Marine Academy. That's also the good part. Thank you. after presentation from very distinguished panelists, we have another set of very distinguished panelists who will discuss or make observations on the subject matter of today. I have to first recognize that Rear Admiral Mohammad Khurshid Alam, Secretary Maritime Affairs Unit, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is not here today because he called in sick. Also, Mr. Sheikh Yusuf Haroon, Executive Chairman of BIZA, Bangladesh Economic Processing Zone Authority, is not here today. So I would like to first invite another very distinguished gentleman, Rear Admiral M. Shah Jahan, NDC, Chairman of Chattogram Port Authority, Bangladesh, a very, very key position in the Bangladesh economy. Chittagong Port, I think, commands something like 75% of our international trade. And so welcome, Rear Admiral Shah Jahan. It's your turn. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Once again, Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. It is indeed again a great pleasure to say a few words, especially as a discussant on this particular session, the thematic session 1, where we'll be basically my predecessor, they have discussed about the total maritime sector of Bangladesh. Just let me, on the very first instance, let me correct the one important thing, that is the Chittagong, it is not the Chattogram Port or Chattogram Port Authority, it is Chittagong Port Authority. The name of the district has changed, but the name of Chittagong Port has not changed. It is, as per our law, it is a brand for Bangladesh. The Chittagong Port, worldwide, it is a very prominent name, and we are known in the whole world as a Chittagong Port. Ladies and gentlemen, on the very first instance, our first speaker, what he has mentioned about, the Indo-Pacific region, the MIDI, the port development, the security and other things about the Indo-Pacific area. It was an excellent research work he made, our Japanese friend from OPRI. So it was an excellent deliberation. Just I want to put some light on it. You see, the Bay of Bengal is one of the important region in the world, which is very peaceful and very vibrant area in the subcontinent, also in the Bay of Bengal region, rim countries, and which is leading to us to the Indian Ocean, and from there too we have two slocks. There is east and westbound. One is going to the Europe and other destination, and another is going to the Far East and in the east coast of America. So we have these two slocks. We need to protect this slock, that because this two slock is our lifeline. As you know, Chittagong Port is the principal port of Bangladesh, where we handle 98% of the containerized cargo and 92% of the total maritime trade and commerce of the Bangladesh. So this is the only port on which Bangladesh depends. And if for any reason the Chittagong port is stopped, the whole economic lifeline will be at the halt, and our economy will come to an halt. So this is what the importance of Chittagong port. And also, you see our National Board of Revenue, they earns more than 70% of their total revenue from the port and from Chittagong port and other two ports. They have got very small amount of activities in the maritime sector, only 1.5% maybe by the Mongla port. And the new port is coming, that is Paira port. And the important thing is that what is the today's topic is the MIDI, that is a big initiative of Japan, where the Matarbari deep sea port and also the Bay terminal will be one of the important things to be remembered. You see why it is very important for us. Our Honorable Prime Minister has said 167 million people is in Bangladesh. The Chittagong port is not only for these 167 million people, but this port is for 3 billion people of this region. So where the role of Chittagong port is rooted, that is to become Bangladesh, that is the Chittagong port a regional hub, where the prosperity, economic prosperity of Bangladesh is lies. You know, if we can make Chittagong port or Bangladesh a regional hub, then our economy will be having a game changer effect. And for that, the port is the Matarbari deep sea port that will give a tremendous boost in our economy. And to support that, we are developing Bay terminal, which is just 6 kilometers away from the Chittagong port. It is on the bay. Now questions comes, why then there is Bay terminal and the Matarbari deep sea terminal? The role of two different port is two different way. Chittagong port is a basically service provider. We provide and the end user port and it is tools port, but we do not have any transshipment facilities for our own cargo as well as for the regional cargo. If we can make the Matarbari deep sea terminal, that terminal will have a game changer effect as a regional hub like Singapore, Colombo, or Port Kelang or Tanjung Pelapas. You see how it happened. What is the role of this Chittagong port in developing Matarbari deep sea terminal and the Bay terminal? Bay terminal is just 6 kilometers away, where depth will be around 12 meters, and the ships will be coming in this terminal around 285 meters, and with this capacity of draft and the length, ship will be able to carry around 5,000 to 6,000 TEUs of container, and that is Panamax or post-Panamax types of vessel. And where at present in Chittagong port, which is inside the Kondofli River, 11 kilometers inside the Kondofli River, it has a number of limitations. Number one is the length restriction. We can bring vessel up to 190 meters. What we are trying to increase it, and the draft limitation is only 9.5 meters, where a vessel can come with 2,500, 2,400 TEUs of container. Here, if we can develop the Bay terminal, the freight will be almost half. Now, the Matarbari deep sea terminal. Here, for your just information, we are developing this Matarbari deep sea terminal with the help of JICA, that is Japanese financial and technical assistance. So, which is coming up behind the eyes of our whole nation. It is developing very silently. I will request you to visit Matarbari sometime if you get chance. Then you will understand how this development is going on. And in Matarbari deep sea terminal, ship will be able to come with 300 meter length and 18 meter draft. And this vessel will be able to carry around 10 to 12,000 TEUs of container. So the freight will be drastically reduced to 1/3. That is not very important to me. Important is that will be a regional hub, because the ship will be just directly moving from Matarbari to European destination, Matarbari to American destination, Matarbari to Far Eastern destination up to Japan, and also east coast of America in the Long Beach or some other port also. So you see, presently ship is taking around, to go to the American and European destination, it is around 45 days to 50 days respectively. But if we can send directly without bypassing this hub, it can be within 43 days, and in the European destination it is only 16 days. We have already started the direct service from Chittagong to the European destination. Recently, you have seen in the newspaper or in the media or in the social media that we have started our direct service. First port was Ravenna port of Italy. We have started this journey, and also we have started in the Slovakian ports, and also in the Europe, Portsmouth, Lexington port of the Portsmouth, and there is a private terminal. And there also we started our journey. We have we are planning to send our cargo directly to the Portugal and also to the some east. Also we have service up to Germany. That is the port is Hamburg. So all these things we have started. It is, but to make it sustainable, the keyword of this today's topic is the sustainability. We have to make it sustainable. To make it sustainable, we need to have the infrastructure. That infrastructure is the deep sea terminal. That is coming up. And to make it sustainable, we need to have the feeder ports. Where the feeder ports are? That in the Singapore port of Singapore, Port Kelang, Colombo, they are the hub port, and their feeder port is Chittagong port is also a feeder port for them. And also from the Kolkata, Haldia, Vizag, and also some from the Akiab and other ports, it is going to that port. So they are becoming the hub. They are becoming enriched with our cargo, with our ships. So why not to take this endeavor, harness this opportunity so that we can earn billions of dollars using this particular sector. The one saying is in the maritime community is that while sitting at home, how to earn billions of dollars. It is the shipping business. Port and shipping can give you that solution because it shows you the oceans of opportunity. The shipping business is the oceans of opportunities. It is a white-collar business and a gentleman business who can remain sitting at home and can earn billions of dollars. Just how can we earn billions of dollars from one of the sector? That is why we are trying to make our Chittagong port a regional hub. We have our Chittagong port. What is the requirement? Requirement is that to reduce the expenditure and increase the revenue. If you want to increase your foreign currency reserve, you have two ways. One, you have to reduce the expenditure, or you have to earn more foreign currency to enrich your reserve. In Chittagong port last year, we have handled 3.2 million TEUs. That was the record in the 136 years history of Chittagong port. And we have earned 3,500 crore taka. That is also another record, revenue. And we have earned net profit of 1,087 crore taka. That is also the record in the Chittagong Port Authority's history. And we have made another record. That is, Chittagong Port was 24/7 on during the whole COVID period. Not a single second Chittagong Port was closed. That is where is the resilience. The port officers, staff and the laborers, they made history. They did miracle. During the whole COVID period, nobody was afraid of dying. But for that, we had to sacrifice 53 lives. All our officers and men and the laborers, they never hesitated to come to the duty place. They never said, "Me, sir, whole world is stopped. Why you are asking me to come to the Chittagong port and work?" We worked for the cause of the nation. Our economy was running, and in most of the major port of the world, there was a congestion surcharge. Exception was only Chittagong port in the world. There was no congestion surcharge imposed on Chittagong port because we had no congestion. No congestion of container, no congestion of ship, no shortage of yard space, no shortage of container. Sometime we were hearing that the Hapag-Lloyd has stopped operation in Chittagong port. People had been talking about that. What, Chairman, what you are doing? They have stopped operation in your port. It is not our fault. It was fault of their operation. They could not make available of their container in the right time, in the right place. Because their ship was in the Europe, their container was in the Colombo. So they could not make their business. It is their problem. It was not the problem of Chittagong port. In Chittagong port, we have thousands of containers, empty and also laden. I asked the people, you take container from us? People are telling that there is no, we cannot take the container because they use it in the container, in each of the container in the port, it is unique. Each MLO is owner of that container. He do not want to give it to others because they want to make monopoly. During the COVID period, we asked them, if you want to do business, you sign agreement, that is DI, direct interchange of container, among the MLOs. And the 30% of the ships were leaving Chittagong port, keeping, most of all the ships were leaving Chittagong port, 30% slot empty. I have asked them, you have to take containers from the other MLOs, other ships, other liners, other feeder vessel, because if you don't take, it is you are leaving behind. If you take it, you get some money. But even though they want to make monopoly, we ask them, if you want to do business, if you want to do something for the humanity in this COVID period, you have to sign common carrier agreement. We enforce that common carrier agreement has to be signed among the feeder service operator. They signed it, and they have been benefited out of that. And that thing has been utilized in other ports, seeing this example. And they also benefited. And this area, there is no shortage of, and with the signing of that agreement, and also the introduction of direct service from Chittagong to European destination, Chittagong to Far Eastern destination, and Chittagong to Middle Eastern destination, our freight, it was rocketed high up to $20,000 per 20-feet container. It has been reduced drastically to 8,000 TEUs. But it should have been more down, because pre-COVID period it was only $2,500 from here to Singapore or maybe in the Shanghai. But it has increased it to $20,000. So now it has reduced to $8,000. It will further reduce with the passage of time. To make it sustainable, we have to have resilient manpower. Therefore, making resilient manpower, our Marine Academy is there. And to induct these mariners into this as a seafarer in the ship, we need to do something more. To make it sustainable, we need to have ships which is registered in Bangladesh. But today I will recommend one thing. We need to amend some of our merchant shipping ordinance, your section of merchant shipping ordinance, where if you want to register in Bangladesh, the Company Act is that it has to be 51 and 49%. But I have to propose that it has to be changed. Maybe 100%, maybe ratio has to be changed to incorporate them in Bangladesh, to make it a port of registry is Chittagong. If we have a port of registry in Chittagong, we have thousands of ships will be registered in Chittagong port. Yesterday also I talked to some of the DG Shipping. He said that he has number of ships to register in Chittagong port, but due to this restriction, we cannot. If we have a number of ships in Chittagong port registered, it is mandatory to take Bangladeshi seafarer on board their vessel. So if we can make this thing, we can accommodate more seafarer in those vessels compulsorily. So we can have more foreign currency earning as a foreign remittance. You see, another important thing is that why we are making the regional hub to the Chittagong port. Now, what I was talking about, that 3.2 million TEUs we have handled last year. First 4 days, the container when landed, it is free. After that, every week, every day, the container has to go for detention charge. It is cheapest one. This $10.5 per TEUs per day for the first week. In the second week, it is 20. In the third week, it is 40. In the fourth week, it is 50. For 50, it goes continuous. And in some ships, some container ships, it is waiting in Chittagong port months together, years together. So detention charge, how much we are paying, can you imagine? If, for example, if $1,000 is being paid as the detention charge, how much they are paying, how much they are earning? It is 3.2 million into 1,000, it is $3.2 billion. $3.2 billion is going out of Bangladesh as a detention charge. It is not freight. It is the detention charge for the container. Do you know what is the price of a container? It is 2 to 3 lakhs taka. But detention charge comes more than that.
Excuse me, Rear Admiral, we are running out of time.
So, to make Bangladesh a sub-regional hub and the MIDI, the MIDI, one of the segment of MIDI is the Matarbari port. And to make this Matarbari port vibrant and operational, we are working with our development partner, the JICA. Again, there are a number of development partners coming up in the Bay Terminal also, in many other places. They are coming to invest in our country. So we have to be very, very choosy to find out, to take the development partner. Otherwise, we might fall in a trap of creditors' imperialism. Nowadays, earlier there was imperialism of, used to be by the sword or by might of the power. But nowadays it is coming in a different form. It is a creditors' imperialism, but it is not that. We need some benevolent development partner. So the benevolent development partner, what we have since our independence, we have found that Japan is our one of the best, one of the friendliest development partner. You see that Japanese fund, first of all, they are giving sometimes grant and sometimes loan. And loan interest is very, very negligible. It is cheapest in comparison to all other development agencies. So in that case, we have to be choosy to whom to choose the development partner. Right development partner is very important. So at the end, I will say our Honorable Prime Minister, the way she is given the vision to make Bangladesh a developed country by 2041. So if we can make this Matarbari Deep Sea Terminal, Bay Terminal, and also other important project of the Chittagong Port project materialize in the appropriate time, then it will be a great help for us, and the country will be moving, will be developing, will become a developed country even before 2041. So I will request every stakeholder or my all stakeholders, you see, let me acknowledge the people, those who has sacrificed their life during the COVID period. And also I will acknowledge all my stakeholders. During the COVID period, every stakeholder of Chittagong Port has given us tremendous support. Starting from a simple laborer to the Honorable President and the Prime Minister, everybody has supported Chittagong Port in all way how they could. And Chittagong Port is grateful to them. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz, Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu, Bangladesh Chirojivi.
Thank you, Chairman, Chittagong Port Authority. We all, as a trade economist, I can add another record for you. Last fiscal year, we traded $135 billion import and export. And as you said, 90% of that came through Chittagong Port. It's the lifeline of the Bangladesh economy. I now have the distinct honor and pleasure to invite Mr. Abul Kalam Azad, the former Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, and who also had a very distinguished civil service career prior to that. So we'd like to, and he's also an expert on the subject area of, green growth and sustainable development, and of course the SDGs. So, Mr. Azad.
So, Honorable Moderator, the panelists, and my dear students, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure that we have heard 3 presentations plus 1. That is the final one from the Chairman of the Chittagong Port Authority. First one we heard on blue economy. Blue economy is all about the sea, on the water, in the water, under the water, on the bed of the sea and under the bed of the sea. So these are all about the blue economy. In the second presentation, we heard about especially on fisheries. And third presentation, we had especially on the seafarer, especially on Chittagong Marine Academy. Finally, we heard from Chairman of the Chittagong Port Authority how it is contributing to the development of our nation. I pay my sincere thanks and congratulations for all these panelists and presenters. We can give a good hand for them. So we understand that Big B stands for Bay of Bengal Industrial Growth Belt. This is Big B. So it's very meaningful. So how it is the Bay of Bengal Industrial Growth Belt? You see, starting from Mireshwarai, it is about 70 kilometers north from Chittagong. Here, Economic Zones Authority, they have about 120 square kilometer land. 120 square kilometer, it is about half of the Dhaka city. So 30,000 acres of land being developed. A huge number of industry is under construction here. Just a week back, Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated 50 industrial initiatives in the economic zones, including the Mireshwarai. In Mireshwarai, on the bank of the sea, they established wide road. This road will continue through Chittagong up to Cox's Bazar, then it will attach with the present Marine Drive. So this will be about from Mireshwarai to Cox's Bazar about 200 kilometers, and then 100 kilometers from Cox's Bazar to Teknaf. There's a 300 kilometer Marine Drive. You can imagine how best this will bring economic prosperity of our country. This itself can be a biggest industry. As I am mentioning, in Mireshwarai, 30,000 acres of land. And then further south, as the chairman of the Chittagong Port Authority mentioned about the Bay Terminal. Bay Terminal is on the Bay of Bengal. Chittagong Port is on the bank of Karnafuli River, as Honorable Chairman mentioned. And just 6 kilometers, as mentioned, on the main sea. So here is another economic activities. You saw yesterday, Honorable Prime Minister, he talked about the Karnafuli Tunnel. So consider this. On the south side of the Karnafuli River, there will be another economic zone. Considering the MIDI, Maheshkhali Matarbari Integrated Development Initiative. This is again about 30,000 acres of land, where a part is deep sea port, and huge number of industry are going to be established there. If you consider, if you look into the Google map, the north-south, it is long, Maheshkhali Island. If you divide into two parts, east and west, eastern part is being used for the inhabitants, and western part, about more than 30,000 acres of land. This deep sea port, so many big industries, along with the ecotourism in Sonadia. And this continues through Cox's Bazar. We all know Cox's Bazar is established tourist zone of our country. Then from Cox's Bazar to Teknaf and St. Martin, the Marine Bay and this road obviously can bring a huge change in our country. At the top southern part of our country, in Teknaf, there is going to establish a Sabrang tourism. In Maheshkhali Matarbari, obviously Sonadia, in Sonadia Island, ecotourism is there, and Sabrang tourism, and finally Teknaf. So this is the Big B, and in between this, Maheshkhali Matarbari Integrated Development Initiative. My understanding is, why this blue economy? Why this MIDI? We used to talk about the SDG implementation. As in a presentation it is mentioned that 17 goals, 169 targets, and it requires about $1 trillion for Bangladesh. Where do we get this money? Answer is blue economy. Answer is seafarer. And Answer is the big B. Obviously, another part we have export diversification and migration. But the lion portion, as we understand that from Mireshorai to St. Martin is the part of big B. If we extend it from Dhaka, that will be further better. Pollution is one of the most important issue. We need to address this, which you study in your university also. How do we do this? Plastic bottles. In 2050, the number of bottles in the sea will be more than the number of fishes in the sea. So we need to think on this. Cannot we think that we will not use plastic bottles? We will use the glass bottles. We will reuse the bottles. Obviously, government has the role to think on how to reduce, reuse, and have these 3 R. We talked about the fish resources. I believe, as it is mentioned, that overfishing may be in the shallow water, not in the deep water. Tuna fish, big resources. Government was trying for a long time to have the long liner fishing. So far, they could not be successful. I don't know. Also, government sometimes gave responsibility to naval also, whether that is successful or not. But so far, the long liner deep sea fishing is absent in our country. We need to look into that. Mean Shandhani, a research vessel which has been set by Bangladesh. Unfortunately, this research vessel is so small, this cannot travel all the way. It can navigate only in the shallow water, I understand, and also not more than 3 months of a year because of the weather in the sea. So we need to have the multi-client survey, otherwise the problem will not be solved. We all know in 2012, 2011, we got the ownership of this huge sea with a legal battle with Myanmar and India. But unfortunately, we could not have the detailed study that what is in this sea, under the seabed. We could not do this. Because of multi-client survey, we could not do. We have huge gas reserve, some people say, but nothing proved. Because of this survey, we cannot do. Here is egg and chicken problem. Because if we want to have the information, we need to put more money for gas. Sometimes it happened that we get gas with a less price from out of the country. Why do we invest more money for having gas in our country? But now, after Russia-Ukraine war, it is evident that we need to invest more money to get our own gas so that energy security is ensured. I will not take much time. I understand that our dream trajectory is 2100. Bangladesh sees this. You know, this government, when came into power in 2009, they have the perspective plan of 2021. Madhyamayat Deshabo. You know, in the meantime, we have graduated from LDC, which will be finalized finally by 2026. And Bangladesh stood first in progressing SDG implementation. It was declared by UN last year. Then we have developed country by 2041. Government has the specific plan with this. We have a plan of 2071, 100 years of our country. And 2100 Delta plan. Bangladesh had the specific Delta plan of 2100, you will find in the website. Only country in the globe, those have the plan of 2100. We used to say that we dream for the dream of Bangabandhu, Sonar Bangla. Obviously, we will achieve that because we have the ladders, we have the stairs, we have the dream trajectory 2021, 2030, 2041, 2071, and 2100. My life is end, but you are here. You will carry this flag 2041, 2071, and 2100. Some of you will survive till 2100 because that time life expectancy will be more than 100. Where I was kid, life expectancy was 40. Now it is 73, 74. So you will see 2100. Let us hope for the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Abul Kalam Azad, for actually doing a great job of summarizing many of the discussions that took place and highlighting the importance of the Bay of Bengal Industrial Growth Belt, Big B, as potentially the part of Bay of Bengal is also part of Sonar Bangla. I think we have to look at it that way. A huge resource base lies in the depth of the Bay of Bengal, and that is it remains to be exploited. So that is what the future lies. Now, you have brought this session almost to a close in the sense that I think after waiting so patiently, so many of the students I can see have been, listening to the speeches from distinguished panelists. They might have some questions or to the panelists or just making observations. So I think if the Ambassador Karim, who's actually organizing this event, agrees, then we'll open up the floor for a few questions. So if any of you would like to raise a question or make an observation, please do so. নিজেকে introduce করে একটু please, and then ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum. আমি Masiat Alam Jubair from Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Maritime University from the Department of Oceanography and Hydrography. In the first paper, we have a presentation excellence on the Big B for the economical purpose in our Bay of Bengal and also our country. But my concern issue is that as UN also declared the next decade as the ocean, but what is the impact in the future for the climate change and how it can affect Bangladesh for this Big B which you are introducing by the Japanese, and what model they are also suggesting Bangladesh to prevent this climate change and the carbon sequestration or carbon the increase of carbon. And also we are Bangladesh, the low-lying country that are severely impacting with the sea level rise. Is there any relation between that this Big B we are converting to the light industries, to the high heavy industries, and what are the impacts? Thank you very much.
I think ideally Mr. Azad should be able to address that question.
So thank you. I take the opportunity to answer this question. You see, climate change is happening very rapidly. In a year, sea level rise in this part of the globe, 10 millimeter. Glaciers are melting very quickly. In the meantime, south of Bangladesh, a good number of area in Satkhira and Khulna, Barguna, these are underwater, almost round whole year. And if this sea level rise continues, by 2050, about 30% of our population from the southern part need to migrate. What's about the industries? What's about this, especially as you mentioned, Big B? A prediction also shows, a JICA study, that the 30% of our power plant will be endangered in terms of the sea level rise. So now, whenever any industrial development is planned, we keep that in mind, that how would be the sea level rise. But what's about the other? Cyclone, tornado? We don't know. The frequency and the strength of this cyclone is much more. But positive thing is this, in the meantime, Bangladesh has grown so much so resilience. In 1970, Cyclone Bhola, some people say Cyclone Gorky, it took at least 500,000 lives. Some people say it is 1 million. But the same magnitude cyclone, year before last year in 2020, Cyclone Amphan, it could take only a few dozen, less than 100. I understand that a single life is very important, but from 1 million to 50, so this is the resilience of our country. And Bangladesh is planning for a Mujib Climate Prosperity Plan, MCPP. Keeping in mind that sea level will rise, we need to look into how best we utilize our resources for the development of our country. We know huge number of industries, solar power plant, floating. In the meantime, we are working for the wind power plants in the Bay of Bengal, onshore and offshore both. So the development needs to be taken care for future, looking towards the climate. Thank you very much. We all through in this discussion miss this climate. Thank you very much for raising this issue.
Thank you, and thank you for answering that very critical question. And we are now aware that Bangladesh is one of the most vulnerable countries due to climate change. It is ranked number 7th in terms of vulnerability. That's a big one, and I'm sure the fact that Bangladesh has done very well in disaster management, even if the intensity of storms is very high, we can, I think, resilience has grown, and Bangladesh is one of the best examples of disaster management. Other countries can take lessons from Bangladesh.
So can we address any other questions from the floor?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Could you turn on the microphone, please?
Assalamu alaikum. I am Mohammad Ikramul Hassan from Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Maritime University, Department of Marine Fisheries and Aquaculture. So my question is to Dr. Anwar Hussain. Our topic was fisheries resources of Bay of Bengal. So we have said that our present GDP is 3.57, but if we properly use our ocean, we can convert it to GDP 10%. So my question is that in which factor we should give emphasis on? Is it in harvesting or like in mariculture? Like we should edit our harvesting system like excluding the highly exploitable fish. By only doing that, can we convert 10% or like we should to give also emphasis on the mariculture? That's actually the question.
Thank you very much for your nice question. Actually, I am talking about 5.7 to 10%. Scientists predicted this only based on harvesting fish, not considering the mariculture. So if we harvest properly the fishes from shallow water and also the deep sea, so it is possible to increase up to 10%. Thank you very much.
Any other
questions? Just to add with Mr. Anwar, one very important aspect due to shortage of time, I could not cover all those things. I had in my mind to talk all these things about what is the marine pollution. You know, the scabiard, what is in the off Bhatieri. It has a serious detrimental effect on our marine resources, especially on the marine life. The fishes, when there is a time of breeding or they come towards the shore to lay their eggs, and they are laying eggs in the estuaries because for hatching, the flow of water is important. And also, once you see on the sea beach, the water is coming and going down as an underwater current. Surface current is coming and it is going back as an underwater current. So that the chemicals and the marine substances, liquids like oil and other things, it just floats on the surface of the water. It is just on the beach. When the fishes lay their eggs, it comes as a larva on the bank of the river, on the shoreline. Once you go there in the shoreline, you will find there is something very slippery things. Those are the larvae of the eggs of the fishes. So once it is mixed up with the pollutants, so it does not get the contact of the oxygen, then it just rots. The fish, they cannot hatch in that particular situation. So there is a major problem is that pollution to reduce fish population in the Bay of Bengal. When I was a simple cadet or midshipman or a very junior lieutenant in the Navy, I used to go to the sea while checking the fishing vessels. I used to see tons of fish on the surface of the deck of the fishing trawler. Now when I go there as an old man, I find there is no fish on the deck, even there is hardly a few ships inside the hold. So this is a very detrimental effect. And we have to shift it towards the Pyra or something like that, because you know the water is coming as a surface current and it goes underwater. In the surface speed is 2 to 3 knots or 4 knots, but when it goes back, it goes at a 5 to 6 and sometimes it is 7 knots. Because in the Pyra area, it is near to the swatch of no ground. When it is, the depth of water is there 2,000, 3,000 meters. When water is going with the sediment, it falls from the Himalayas to down the ladder. So the speed goes further high. If your scabiard is shifted to those places, the pollutants will go with the underwater current and there will be a natural cleaning process. So we have to shift this pollutant, this scabiard to the Pyra. While we were planning for Pyra port, I was in that time the member operation while of Pyra port also. I was basically member of Chittagong Port Authority in 2010 to 2015. In that time we have inaugurated this Pyra port also. I was the leading member of consulting of that Pyra port, and we suggested for shifting this scabiard from Bhatiari towards that Rabnabad channel. So if it is near to the Rabnabad channel, it will go to the Swatch of Nokran and down to there with the speed of current, it will disintegrate with the salt water. So we have to do something for this, to shifting this scabiard from this place to that place. Then our fish population will increase. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We now have a question from the gentleman here in the second row. Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm the Secretary General of Dhaka University Japanese Studies Alumni Association. My question is to Atsushi Watanabe-san. Would you please define very precisely what is the blue economy and ocean economy? And at the same time, prior to coming to blue economy, we were in green economy. Why the green? We have to come to blue economy from the green economy. And without the green economy, blue economy, will it be sustainable or not? And most of so far I think our green economy is polluted because of human-imposed pollution. Is there any measure have you taken in to make it sustainable to prevent human-imposed pollution? Thank you so much.
Sure. Any of our panelists would like to answer that question?
Yeah, thank you for your question and comment. And you mentioned about the green economy and the interlinkages between green and blue maybe. So yeah, I actually not very much familiar with the green economy in Bangladesh, but you are a lot of harvesting rice or the, yeah, you're very much reliant on the agriculture also on land. And yeah, and the pollution coming from not only from Bangladesh but from other upstream countries will and activities on land will impact the ocean economy. And so actually it is very complicated problem when we consider about land space development, the influence from the land area, how we can decrease or what to say, mitigate the impact from land and in the connectivity. We call it that pollution connectivity, like kind of it coming from land and the discharge into the ocean, and it will be diffused to the many places by ocean current. And we all understand how much the impact will be in the future, and consider that how much it will influence the ocean activities like fisheries, aquaculture, and yeah, like marine tourism. So I don't have a clear-cut answer at this moment, but it should be included in our planning of the blue economy. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. From green economy to blue economy, I think it's about the land versus the sea. That is one difference that I can see. I think with that, I would not like to tax the patience of our audience here who have shown a lot of understanding and patience. So I'd like to thank all of you attending, particularly we must all thank the organizers, the Center for Bay of Bengal Studies, Independent University, and their partners, Ocean Policy Research Institute and Sasakawa Peace Foundation, Japan.
I think we have one more question from the floor. I'd request you to please make this the last one as we are running short of time, so please.
No, if you allow me, please. Otherwise, you can bring the conclusion today.
So could you kindly stand up and address?
Okay, please go ahead. Thank
you. My name is Captain Qazi Ali Imam. I'm Professor Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Maritime University and Department Head of Ports and Shipping Management. I had two questions, but most important, I find that Dr. Mashur Rahman has mentioned about the survey of the ocean to find out the resources. Now, we are talking always about blue economy, and we see the prospects from all these presentation are given. So you said that we have not even done the survey of the ocean, find out what is lying in the seabed or in the subsoil. And the other side of the blue economy that we are only there in the shipping, or you're talking about fishing, maybe some of the tourism, etc. So why not we have done the survey as yet? Because to explore the seabed, we have a long way ahead of us. What is the problem and what is the delay for? And another thing is that I asked to Dr. Anwar, Professor Anwar, you mentioned about a lot of challenges in fishing, like your conservation of fish, or fish stock, or overfishing, or illegal fishing, and you are given a lot of recommendations that you will do this and do that. But what is the clue? How are you going to do it? How are you going to measure the fish stock? How you are going to find out what is the migration of fishes from one place to another? What is the problem, conflict, okay, and the conservation of and the fishing or overfishing? How are you going to ensure that? What should be done? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to address that question?
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to answer your like the over exploitation and also migration of some species. Like the Mean Shondani, just recently did their survey, and they only surveyed the stock, how much stock is available, but they don't survey like the MSY and also MUI. They don't show like this. So if you don't know the stock and how much you are able to harvest, in that case, this is not possible to sustain this stock. And another things, and migration. So you know the tuna is very fast migrator, and they migrate from Indian Ocean to Bay of Bengal. So we don't know the stock of tuna yet. So already sir mentioned that we have no like this vessel. How can we survey the in deep sea? So this is the most and very I don't know, maybe our limitation. But when the survey vessel was designed in 2012 or 13, I forget the date. That time I also included in that expert body, but I talked to Denmark survey vessel industry, and then actually I went to Japan for my PhD. That's why I don't know later part why bought this only shallow water survey vessel. But I recommend that time to buy a vessel in deep sea and also shallow water, two survey vessels. So actually we don't know the fisher stock in deep sea. Just we maybe like talk this kinds of stock, this kinds of based on gauge data. So my recommendation, and also I agree with you, still we maybe don't know our stock, but we first need to assess our stock properly and then make MSY and also MUI. How can we harvest the stock? And you already see the Indian salmon is over harvested in Bay of Bengal, and stock is the Mean Shondani already recommended. This stock is almost finished. So I don't know how long it possible to harvest from Bay of Bengal. If we not stop right now the harvest of Indian salmon, maybe within 10 years this stock may be extinct from the Bay of Bengal. And also in case of Harpodon nehrias, like the loita fish, you all know this is very valuable and commercial fish in Bangladesh. Harpodon nehrias also in very much over harvested and over exploited stock. So we actually need to assess the stock first, properly and scientifically. Then we maybe suggest how much we can harvest. And you know, actually in our vessel, survey vessel, trawling vessel, fishing vessel, we just permit the vessel like 200, 300, but we don't know our stock. The vessel go to the ocean, and most of the vessel harvest fish from the shallow water. So shallow water is overexploited. We can say like this. Only 2 fish not overexploited. This is maybe not so commercially important. And also another thing, my concern is bycatch. When we catch the hilsha and other fish, we may catch lots of other bycatch fishes, but we don't know the proper use of this bycatch. Just we throw out this bycatch sometime. Recently, you maybe see the squid and also some other jellyfish in Bangladesh. No commercially important in jellyfish, but in internationally, jellyfish is very high costly fish. And also you see the lots of small fishes come out in the shore areas, because they talk to me. Maybe I interviewed some fishermen. They talk to me, this is the byproduct, bycatch. But we may be also concerned about the pollution. Maybe for pollution also these fishes come to the shore. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just to supplement a minute. About the research vessel, we have number of research vessels, especially in Bangladesh Navy. We have hydrographic and oceanographic survey vessel, that BNS Onushandan, and also sometimes we use BNT Khadem for the oceanographic research and other things. Chittagong Marine Science Institute, they avail this opportunity. A lot of people do not know about these two vessels. The other organization, the NORI and other organizations, if they need, they can ask support from the Bangladesh Navy. Those two are very modern research vessels. And the Mr. Ali Imam, he has mentioned about the port and shipping. We forgot one thing about the shipping. You see, in Bangladesh, as moderator was talking about $130 billion of maritime trade and commerce. So we do not have adequate ships to carry all these things. Freight is very important. If the freight is the 10% minimum, then it will be $13 billion every year we can earn. But we cannot earn 13 billion every year. How much we can earn? As per the International Code of Conduct for the Liner Service of UNCTAD, the ratio of carrying this cargo is 40%, and 20%. That is 40% by the importing countries, 14% by the exporting countries, and 20% by the rest of the world. As we are the importing, exporting both the country, same country, we can claim 80%. If out of this 30%, if it is not 80%, if we can have 50%, it will be $6.5 billion we can earn as freight. But unfortunately, we need 500 vessels to carry all this cargo. Unfortunately, we have only 6 container vessels in Bangladesh. Only by the HR shipping line, they are operating these 6 container vessels. That's why I request, my proposal will be to invest in container vessel. We have number of bulk carrier also, but that is also insufficient. We have only 67 bulk carrier. We need more, because last year we handled 116 million metric tons of bulk cargo and 3.2 million metric tons TEUs of containerized cargo. We have handled only 7% containerized cargo by our national flag carrier, and we have carried 12% of the bulk cargo by our national flag carrier. So we have ample opportunity to harness this element of blue economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. I would like to conclude by thanking very distinguished panelists seated here, and I'm sure with all the questions and the fact that they've been staying here for such a long time with patience tells me that this has been a very learning and inspiring event. So thank you, the organizers, the Center for Bay of Bengal Studies, Independent University, and their partners, Ocean Policy Research Institute, and Sasakawa Foundation, Japan. Thank you very much.
I would like to invite all the distinguished guests to come on stage, please, for a group photograph.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to take a group photo. If our delegates participants would like to come to stage, we'll be very happy. And now I would like to request our Honorable President, Dr. Atsushi Shonami, in the stage for today's session's last picture, and also the Ambassador Karim, and our Director, Dr. Tomonari Akamatsu, Ipita Nishida-san, and the today's participants. So anyone would like to come to stage, please come.
One more announcement for the students. Students who came from other universities, could you kindly go to the multipurpose hall to collect your allowances? Thank you.
আউটসাইড ইউনিভার্সিটি আছেন একটু মাল্টিপারপাস হলে কাইন্ডলি
Please, ma'am. Sir. Sir, আসুন, sir. হয়ে যাবে স্যার, এটা ইটস এ গ্রুপ ফটোগ্রাফ। স্যার প্লিজ, স্যার স্যার আপনি মাঝখানে না না সামনে আছে, ঠিক আছে, এখানে থাকবে, দেখা যাবে আপনাকে। ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে,
আমরা স্যার আমরা সামনে বসে যাই
ইয়াং ক্যামেরার সামনে চলে যাও, স্টুডেন্টসের সামনে সামনে চলে যাও, আমি তো স্টুডেন্টের সামনে বসে পড়ো, এটা আবার ঠিক, আমি ভাবছি আমি স্টুডেন্ট হয়ে যাই আজকে, বসলে উঠতে পারবো আমাদের বয়সে এই সমস্যা। Thank you. I'd like to request all the volunteers to assist the external students to please guide them to the multipurpose hall.